My name is Sahara, and I'm the marketing manager at Energy Masters Plus. Thank you very much for joining us today. We are very excited to have here a very special webinar for you, and I hope that you enjoy this session. We have with us some of our dear alumni who are individuals who have taken their ideas and turned it into real companies. And they have been making an impact in the clean tech realm. Their stories are full of lessons, inspiration, and practical insights for everybody who's looking to follow a similar path. So before we begin, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to our speakers. We have Daniel Fernandez. He's the CEO and the co-founder of Quantum Drive. We have Francisco Milani, the co-founder also of Quantum Drive. We have Alex Briznoy, co-founder and of Store Now Energy, and also joining us very soon, Luis Medina, who's the co-founder and CEO of Tether. Also with me today, I have my colleague Alberto Gonzalez, who is the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Education Manager at Energy, and he will also give us like a little bit of a brief about Energy, about the master programs, and we'll ask our alumni some questions. A little bit of admin before we begin. You have like on your right the chat box or the Q&A box that you can like send us any questions, and at the end of the session we will try to answer as much questions as we can. And also the session is recorded, so if you cannot attend today or you want to go back to the session, you will have it afterwards. So without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Alberto, who will take us through give us some information about Energy.
Thank you very much, Sahara, for the introduction, and thank you very much to all the alumni for being here with us today, and for everyone who is attending the webinar as well. As already introduced, I'm just going to go through a few slides before we start with, I would say, the most interesting part of the webinar, which is a panel with our alumni entrepreneurs. I see Luis has also managed to join us. I guess Luis was busy, the busy life of an entrepreneur, meeting after meeting. Very glad to have you here, Luis, and very glad to have you here, Daniel, Francesco, and Alex. I hope everyone sees the screen in yes. Full mode.
Okay,
perfect. So for those of you who don't know, Energy. Energy has been for many years creating a unique clean tech innovation ecosystem. So basically, Energy is a climate tech impact investor with a very special ecosystem surrounding us, including multiple shareholders and multiple partners all throughout Europe, so 1,400 partners across 21 European countries, and also with operations in the US and in Asia. As you all know, we're very proud to also have Masters Plus, which is our master school, and I will very soon tell you more about this. Now, Energy, as one of the leading investors in clean tech in Europe and in the world, has a very wide portfolio of companies, 160 plus portfolio companies, meaning that Energy is a partial shareholder in many of these very innovative and very young companies that are shaping basically the future of sustainable energy. It's not only that, but when you look at basically the owners of Energy, if you look at our shareholders, you will recognize some of the biggest names in the industry in Europe and in the world. We're talking, companies such as Engie, Siemens, Capgemini, Total Energies, and I'm sure you recognize many other names in there. We also have a very core basically in the core of our shareholders, universities. Universities which are very much, working with us in our master's class programs like KTH, KU Leuven, Aalto University, Grenoble IMP, and all the other ones you see in there. In addition to that, we're also very proud to be sort of like owned by some financial institutions such as Santander or ING. Now, as I already mentioned, Energy is very active. It's a very active investor in clean tech. We have been recognized over the years many times, with sort of like awards and recognitions from PitchBook, from Startup Genome, and from Sifted, which are the ones you see in there. So we are among the most active investors in the world when it comes to clean tech and sustainable energy. Now, maybe the reason why many of you are here today, basically our master's programs, as you can see in there, we collaborate with 14 universities. Actually, I see Luis is wearing a KTH hoodie, very conveniently selected for the webinar.
And KTH sorry to cut you off, but we cannot see like your current slide.
What about now?
Now, yes, now we can. Thank you.
Yes. Sorry. Okay, great. No, thank you. So as I was mentioning, we partnered with 14 universities across Europe. I'll very soon show you the universities, but you already see them on the bottom. And we have over 2,200 graduates. And today you will be meeting 4 of them who basically took their startup ideas into reality, started companies, and they are now making an impact in the sustainable energy landscape. For those of you either in the European Union or with a desire to come to the European Union, 84% of our graduates, regardless of where they are from, actually stay in Europe. And for the other 16%, I can probably anecdotically say that they just wanted to go back, majority of them. So for majority of students who graduate from our programs, the ones who want to stay in Europe, they do stay in Europe. Now, what we want to do with our Masters Plus, what we are very proud of offering, is that we prepare a new generation of professionals and leaders. We do that with a double degree program in engineering, one of these 5 programs that you see now in the screen. And we combine this top engineering education with education in entrepreneurship, business, and innovation. So we are very proud to be offering these programs in collaboration with these 14 universities I just mentioned. And basically a student graduating from our programs gets a double degree, so a degree from 2 of these universities, plus certificates from either SADE Business School or UTUM in Germany. And in addition to that, other certifications such as courses in AI, data science, and the like. Now, here are the universities again. You see that they are spread through Europe. Some of them, we have a few in Paris. We have École Polytechnique, for instance. We have Politecnico di Torino in Italy. We have UPC and SADE in Spain, IST in Portugal, as I mentioned, KU Leuven in Belgium, KTH in Sweden, and all our students, they do 1 year in one of these universities and the second year in another university. And at the end, when they graduate, once again, they get 2 diplomas from each of these universities. As you can see in there, the locations are across Europe, and you will be changing locations if you eventually join us between year 1 and year 2. And this allows you to experience 2-3 different countries during the course of your studies. And you will see, I think, when we start the panel with the alumni in here, I'm sure you'll probably hear some stories of, how their experience was when they were students. For some of them, not so long ago, so I'm sure they remember well. Right. So why should you consider InnoEnergy as, why should you invest in InnoEnergy? Well, first of all, as I already mentioned, 84% of our graduates are employed in Europe. They are employed across basically all the countries. Many of them are in Sweden, in Germany, Spain, France, the Netherlands, and also we have quite a strong presence in Poland and in Belgium. But as you can see, like they are pretty evenly spread across Europe. And the most common job titles after students graduate are the ones you see in there. So anything from project engineering to nuclear engineering to data scientist, asset manager. So this is what we usually see as the first job for some of our graduates. For some others, it's not this type of job, but what we see is more like CEO and co-founder. And again, very soon we're going to hear more about this from the alumni in the panel. Moreover, what you see in there are our top employers. So I think you very quickly recognize some of the names I already mentioned: Siemens, Schneider Electric, Total Energy, ENGIE. They are all our shareholders. And in addition to this, we see a lot of students being recruited by companies such as Hitachi, ASML, Tesla, or ABB, or Vattenfall. Now, once again, very glad for everyone to be here. And I think it's time for us to start moving more towards the core of this webinar, which is this discussion that we are going to have with Daniel, with Alex, and with Luis and Francesco. And I guess without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves. And since I have been already mentioning him, I think we'll start with Luis. And Luis, if you can just introduce yourself and the company you represent.
Yes, can you guys hear me? Is my mic?
Yes.
Yep. Perfect.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, I'm Luis Medina. I'm the founder and CEO of Tether. And basically, we build artificial intelligence that turns million parked electric vehicles into a giant battery for the power grid. In short, we are able to predict the behavior of electric cars or chargers and turn them off or turn them on, depending on what the demand is on the grid, essentially turning them to a giant battery on wheels. So yeah, I'm originally from Mexico. I worked in the United States before coming to InnoEnergy, and was coming from General Electric. So I was working as a solar design engineer in New York before coming to Sweden, which was the first year. I studied at KTH, and then UPC in Spain the second year. So yeah, I'll stop
Luis,
there.
which program did you study?
I did renewable energy, but in the end I ended up being a bit of a hybrid between renewable energy and Sense, because I took a lot of the courses from Sense as well, given that I'm an electrical engineer by background. So
Very good. Thank you very much, Luis. Maybe we continue with Daniel Fernandez. If you could introduce yourself and Quantum Drive EV.
Yes, thanks a lot, Alberto, and hi everyone. So yeah, I'm Daniel Fernandez, founder and CEO of Quantum Drive. I'm an energy engineer from Spain, and I've spent the last year working at the intersection of e-mobility and batteries. I studied at Rennes as Luis. First year in Paris and second year in Stockholm. And after that, I worked in companies like Tesla in the UK and Wallbox in Barcelona. So in these experiences, as you can imagine, I understood very well how the e-mobility sector works, and especially what are the main pain points of user experience during the EV driving. And that's why we founded Quantum Drive. And the main mission of Quantum Drive is to make easier the electric mobility, and also the adoption and the use of electric mobility. So we help people plan routes, understand the energy consumption of the car, the charging costs, and we want to be the next EV navigator for electric vehicle. And yeah, very proud to be here, and really nice to be here showing you our experiences.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Very glad to have you here. Francesco Milani. I guess it will be a bit easier for you, co-founder, Quantum Drive. Please go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, I work with Daniel in Quantum Drive. So just a bit of background. I'm from Turin, in the north of Italy, and my background is actually energy engineering from the Polito, which is one of the university you include in your program. And then I joined the Master Select. Back in the days was named Select. Now I think is Sustainable Energy Systems. Yeah, that's the name now. And I studied the first year in Barcelona and the second year in Stockholm, which is where I met Dani for the first time. And yeah, now I'm here. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. So, and yeah, just a little bit more of Quantum Drive. So basically, Quantum Drive has a mission of the adoption of electric vehicle. And it does it through a route planner, which was our first product. And now we are implementing other products such as an EV map, where you can simply look for charging points. And also we are applying our data, knowledge, and intelligence to the B2B sector. So basically selling our platform to retailers and any other operator in the mobility sector, basically. And thanks for calling me here.
Thank you, Francesco. Thanks for being here. Last but not least, Alex, co-founder of Store Now Energy.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me. So, okay, Alex, I'm an Israeli student, so I graduated recently 1 year ago. So I was first year in Stockholm, second year in Barcelona, and all over Europe in some other places. I will maybe explain later. So I'm from a background also renewable energy engineer. I worked at the company E.ON and the smaller one in the solar planning and project planning department till I decided to join Energy to found a company and maybe to find the potential co-founder, which came luckily true. So here I'm sitting. So we provide a bankability platform for a large-scale storage solution. So what do? We assess the business case and tell if it's an investment-worthy business case, focusing on a variety of application sites. This came out of the master as a startup, and here we are since 2 years, focusing full-time. So I think I'm a bit earlier stage than most other panelists, but yeah, here we are.
Thank you very much, Alex. Thank you for that. Right. So I think we're going to start now with the panel with the rapid fire question round. So basically, I have prepared a couple of questions for almost each of you, I would say, and we'll do this for maybe about 20 minutes, a bit less, and then we'll open the floor for questions from the audience. And let me say we have an impressive number of registrants and an impressive number of attendees. So I'm very sure we're also going to get very interesting questions from the audience. But without further ado, let me start maybe with Luis to keep a very similar sort of like order as before. So you recently raised 1.3 million euros pre-seed round. Very impressive, congratulations. Can you briefly walk us through the process that basically lead you there? And I mean from the start of your masters, creating the company and closing the round. Could you walk us a bit through that journey?
Yeah. So like I mentioned before, I was working at General Electric before coming to the masters. So I had a very, let's say, concrete idea of what I wanted to focus on in my studies. Really was like electricity markets and energy storage in conjunction to like everything renewables, right? So when I was in Sweden, I took a bunch of courses on energy storage and electricity markets, learned about the balancing mechanisms for the grid, which is essentially, how do we maintain, I think all of us know the physical processes that keep the grid operational, right? There has to be a balance between generation and demand. But what I didn't know was the markets and how they worked. So that was let's say the first seed in the masters of Tether. And so we started running. I really liked the topic. We had to do it towards the end of the masters a thesis, right? So at that moment, I decided to do electric vehicles for balancing in the Swedish power grid. So that was the topic of my thesis. Obviously, that became the basis for Tether. And really, while I was doing the master's and actually taking that master's idea and running with it in the Asada Business School, we had to do a business case. So I also managed to convince my team to do it on Tether. It was called Mjolnir Energy back then, but in the end of the day, basically I took all the work that we did in Asada, and I took my master thesis to do a lot of the pre-work for what would become my company. And towards the end of the year, there was, I forget what it's called now, but it's called the Battle of Green Talent back then. It's this little competition between other, founders or people that want to become founders in the program, and they pitch their ideas and they pitch their companies. So we ended up coming, I think, like we were finalists, and I think maybe second place. We were very close, but we didn't quite get it. So it left us with this, if only we had gone in, right? You get 10K if you win the program. So we pitched again another energy competition, the EIT Jumpstarter, and we won this time we actually won. So we got 10,000 euros, and the condition is you have to start a company if we're going to give you this. So we did. We registered our company, and me and my co-founder, or ex-co-founder, because he's no longer in the company, but at the time, another person from InnoEnergy, we decided to move to Barcelona, and we said, okay, with 10,000 euros, we can live in the same apartment for 10 months, and that's what we're gonna do to build the company. And that's basically what we did. We got into a bunch of accelerators. So we got into the Asada eWorks, then we ended up getting into Techstars, and we ended up getting into Mobility X Lab and a few other accelerators, and that got us partners. And then we raised some money from angels, and eventually 1.3 million euros in pre-seed. So that's kind of the journey. And I think you can very clearly see that it started. I had no intention of becoming a founder when I joined InnoEnergy, but it just kind of one thing led to another, and I was very passionate about the idea. So that's how it happened.
Very nice. Thank you, Luis, for, I guess, summarizing very busy about like 5-6 years and into maybe 5 minutes. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for walking us through it. Great. Maybe Daniel, can you also walk us a bit, like what's the story behind Quantum Drive, if I may?
Okay, really nice experience, by the way, Luis. We didn't raise money yet, but it's good to know that experience, because, yeah, we will see in the future. So what is the story behind Quantum Drive? So actually, it's a really mix between personal frustration of the EV mobility sector, professional experience, I guess, and a bit of family DNA as well. So I love road trips by driving a car. So when I started driving electric, I had this very specific trip to my hometown that I still remember, especially for the foundation of Quantum Drive. But the car in this case was Tesla. Actually, Tesla is the one with the best user experience. So you can guess also what is the rest of the cars, what are the problems of the rest of the cars. But the car was telling me that I didn't need to charge during the trip, so I trusted it. And halfway there, I realized that my battery, or the battery of the car, was dropping much faster than expected. So I ended up driving very, very slowly just to make it to my destination. It was a bit stressful, but also a bit ridiculous, as you can see. And then that's when I think because of our engineer mindset, that, okay, this can be the EV experience that we have to sell to the people. So as engineers, we thought about the data, elevation, temperature, battery behavior, all the things that will influence the range. And since I have experience in Tesla and also at Wallbox, so, and on top of that, the family DNA, let's say, I decided to go to this idea directly with Fra to Lanzadera, to the accelerator program that we applied. And with this, we got selected, and we've seen that this is a really big problem, and that can be a very nice opportunity to start a startup. So we started from them, and then the rest is history, and we'll give some more content to Francesco as well. So that would be the story of Quantum Drive funding.
Great, thank you very much, Daniel. Starting from a very real problem, yeah.
Yes.
Very good, thank you very much. Francesco, so we already know you represent the same company as Daniel as a co-founder, and you are also an alumnus. So could you explain us maybe a bit more about Quantum Drive, but also how you got to know each other?
Yeah, sure. So regarding how we got to know each other, I think we lost Danny for some second. Can I talk? Yeah.
Yes.
So regarding how we got to know each other, basically we were living in the same building in Stockholm. So we were living in Teknikringen 58, which is the typical building you have in the Stockholm campus. And Danny was living basically above me, and that's where we met. Basically, we were and mostly I would say playing FIFA at PlayStation at my apartment together with other energy people. So that's where we got to know each other, and then we met each other again in Barcelona, because after Stockholm, actually I lived in Amsterdam for 2 years while Danny was living in London, and then we both moved to Barcelona, which is where we met again, basically. And one day, basically, I think it was 1 year ago or something more, we were having a beer and talking about business ideas. And Danny was, sharing this Quantum Drive idea with me. And back in the days, I was working for a company that was helping innovation projects raising fundings. And Danny asked me, why don't you help me getting funding and applying to Lanzadera, which is one of the biggest for startup in Europe. And we got accepted in Lanzadera, and now we are here, basically.
Thank you very much, Francesco, also for giving us, the I would say the personal background on how you got to know each other. A very good combination, right? I mean, starting from a very real problem and also meeting people who are like very much used to, as you said, living together, right? I saw how the rest of the audience was smiling when you said the address where you lived. I think they pretty much recognized the place. Very good, very good. Alex, so since we are on the topic, I believe your co-founder is also an alumnus, right? Could you do something similar as to what Francesco just did in terms of how you started the company?
Yes, of course. So funny thing, I didn't know Luis before, but there will be some similarities in the journey I will be describing right now, which are quite funny. So, okay, I mean, it started also in Stockholm during the first year studies. We were sitting next to each other in the solar energy course, and we were talking about the Battle of Green Talent, Green Sea Journey, about all the startups chatting about ideas. However, after a few minutes, we realized we actually joined the same startup, which was Enersol back then. We were developing a high temperature heat storage solution. We were storing energy at hundreds of degrees Celsius to decarbonize the industry. This was quite a catchy thing, which led us actually all over Europe and the world, from Madrid to the Station F in Paris. We even presented the startup at the MIT in Boston. So, I mean, some guys with a nice PowerPoint presentation going to the MIT. It was quite an experience. But I mean, this started off the journey. And then we also lived together in Barcelona for half a year and shared in a 20 square meter apartment. So you get to know the people you're working with quite well if you live on such a small area, I have to say. And this is where, you catch it that you want to found something with this person on your own. So I mean, we also joined Battle of Green Talent, also in second place 2 times in a row, 2 years in a row. We're like, God damn it. Then we exited this old startup Enersol and founded our own ones, which is now Stornau Energy. Joined EIT Jumpstarter, where we also got the first place finally and won the 10K. And during the journey, which we're already building since 2 years, we pivoted also several times. And we started in the residential battery sector, then moved on to the commercial one, and now we're on the grid scale because there is a traction. We got some first pilot projects, and this is where we are. Yeah, since 2 years, still co-founders and still going hard. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Alex, and also thank you so much for basically describing something that is very common, right, in early stage startups. All the amount of pivots that you went through. I know like some of the other startups in here, and the 150 plus startups that have been created by our alumni. I mean, I've been following the journey of many of them, and I mean, 99.9% of startups need to pivot at least a couple of times. So thank you also for highlighting that, Alex. Luis, back to you, because I mean, you already mentioned, right? Another person from InnoEnergy was your co-founder, so you were in a similar situation. Could you describe this a bit more? How is this, how was this creation process with your co-founder?
Yeah, I mean, I think Alex and I have a very, very similar experience because first year, I mean, my co-founder, we were friends in Stockholm. We were in the same program. We knew each other. I was in Technikringen 47, so very close to where Daniel and Francesco were. But we didn't live together. When we moved to Spain, we were actually roommates. So we were in the same apartment and doing the same courses. I applied for, we were in the Battle of Green Talent. He was in another team. We were both, let's say, going through the same thing. And when we didn't win, but he came up to me and he said, I really like your idea and I would like to join. And so basically, we decided to become co-founders then. We said, okay, we'll try in the Yeti Jumpstarter. And then when we won, I remember we said, okay, so like, are we doing this for real or not? And that's when we took the money, founded the company, and then decided to move to Barcelona. And really, so we were now in another apartment living together. So co-founders and roommates and friends. It was very intense. And yeah, that was basically the process of how I met my co-founder. And I think, this is going to be the recurring theme throughout the of all the startups here, right? You meet someone who is, I think a lot of the students in InnoEnergy, they have big ideas, and all of a sudden you see other startups that are doing, other people that are founding their startups and are having success, and that kind of inspires you and puts you in that same mindset. And then before you know it, you're like, okay, I'm doing it too, and I'm jumping into the deep end of the pool. So yeah, that's how it happened. And I mean, we're no longer co-founders. At the end of the day, it's a hard journey. I think everyone here can agree that it has its ups and downs, but we're still good friends. And I think the friendships we make in InnoEnergy last for a long time.
Thank you very much, Luis. Thank you for that. So it has been mentioned already a couple of times, the Battle of Green Talent. We nowadays call it the Green Seed Journey Competition. And the Green Seed Journey Competition is basically our flagship entrepreneurial student competition. And we have been growing it. We have been growing the journey. And I think some of the people in the room have experienced other aspects of the journey. So I think I'll go back to Alex and to focus a bit more on the role of the master program had in the creation of Store Now Energy. I think, well, it's not that I think I know, you recently participated in the Green Seed Journey Camp, right? Can you tell the audience what this camp was about and how it helped Store Now Energy?
Yeah, of course. So I mean, the camp was coming basically after the Battle of Green Talent, which is how it was called back then. Where we joined as a startup, and then you got the money, and then you let out in the wild, basically. Then you build something, and I explained some of the things we already did before. But I mean, sooner or later, but you are faced with the decision of raising funds, maybe through angel investors, through VC funds, and so on. And it's, as a newbie, I mean, okay, if you are a student, you also join the Startup Business School where you get some insights. But if you're already in the situation, this will be already after the Startup Business School, and then you're like, well, okay, here we are. So this was more or less the Green Seed Journey Camp was lifting the curtain. So there you get like the actual insights, how VC investors, how investors think, how they evaluate your startup, what they're looking for especially, and how do they know what they're talking about. I mean, InnoEnergy are the investors, so they actually invest in the startup. So I mean, the insight they give you, they are the actual insights here, which are the most, which are quite important. And I mean, we are looking currently into our first pre-seed round, and we are looking to apply lots of this stuff. I mean, one example would be also the funding course, etc., which was provided to us as participants in this journey. But more or less, it was also a really nice and cozy event. So it's a selection of the top startups from the Battle of Green Talents. You're at a small table, 7 people, presentations, and you get the hands-on knowledge. It's not like your typical classroom experience, but it's hands-on, and you can, and because you already have a startup, you can directly apply the stuff. And I'd say this is helpful and will be even more helpful coming soon with the pre-seed.
Thank you very much, Alex. Maybe to wrap up, and I will address this last question to both. Let me say, to wrap up this section before we open the floor for questions from the audience, I will address the question to both Francesco and Daniel. Could you have already done it, but could you go a bit deeper into how InnoEnergy played a role in the inception of Quantum Drive EV and how it is playing a role now?
Yeah, I can start with the inception, and then Francesco maybe the current role. So InnoEnergy was, I think, thinking about this is 3 things connected. So first, our interest in energy. Secondly, the entrepreneurial mindset, and then finding the right opportunities, which is also very important. Regarding the entrepreneurial content, so ESADE is the main example, but also in universities that I was studying in Paris and Stockholm was something that was really important as well, and it was a very good experience to be more open to the startup world in those universities. Then secondly, in Paris and Stockholm are amazing universities also regarding the technical part, regarding the energy path as well, and they are really into the sustainable future of Europe. So this is also an amazing opportunity to learn about this. And then the third one would be the main opportunities. I think that if I didn't study, if I wouldn't have studied in InnoEnergy, I wouldn't be at Tesla or Wallbox probably. And these opportunities were the most important for the real inception of Quantum Drive. So I think that's, as I said, it's an amazing experience, InnoEnergy, and this has been the main seed, let's say, for the future of our company.
Yeah, and to add something, at least in my case, I studied, as I mentioned, the Sustainable Energy System program, which is really focused on applying technical theory to an entrepreneurial framework, let's say. So to really focus on entrepreneurship, both in normal classes and in ESADE as well. We had, I think, several hours of crash course in ESADE. It was very useful to develop this entrepreneurial mindset. And apart from this, I would say one of the most important things when you build a startup is the networking and ecosystem. And InnoEnergy is perfect for this. I think I would say it's the best of InnoEnergy, the networking that you can have there. You can talk to thousands of people with several backgrounds, and this helps you during the studies to develop this entrepreneurial mindset, and then afterwards to keep in contact. If you want to build a startup, it helps you. If you want to find a job, it helps you. It's a very powerful ecosystem. And I would say also the service that InnoEnergy gives to the alumni is really powerful. It's not something that other universities do, and that's also where we right now. Also, we received a grant of 10K. We applied to a grant that InnoEnergy is giving to startups which are applying to accelerators, and we got this funding. So this gives us a bit of fresh air for the next month at least.
Thank you very much, Daniel and Francesco, for covering this as well. I think we'll leave it there for the moment. I mean, I of course I have other questions I would like to ask you, but better than me asking questions, I would open the floor for the people in the audience to ask questions. And Sahara, I don't know if you have already collected a few.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. Actually, a lot of the questions were already answered because we've covered a lot. The answers were really good. They covered a lot of what the prospective students would like to know. One is asking how nervous were they going into startups? Because they seem generally risky, and why would they choose startups and not the corporate? And if they felt supported, and how did they get that, I guess, that courage to go to the startup world? Because I think a lot of students and graduates are scared to take that step. Like, what made you take that step? Maybe we can maybe Luis can answer the question.
Yes, that's a very good question. Like I said, I had no intention of becoming a startup founder when I joined InnoEnergy. I said, I mean, I was very lucky and I got the full scholarship for InnoEnergy. So I basically came to Europe to do a master's for free, and I got paid for it, which is great. So my goal was, I'm gonna get the double master degree, and then I'm gonna go back to the US, take a lot more money in General Electric, and I'm gonna have learned a lot more, and I'm gonna be able to apply these skills. But then, number one, coming here to Europe, I really liked the lifestyle. I thought, I wanted to stay in Europe as my master's progressed. Number two, like I mentioned, when I started seeing, first of all, the ESADE Business School really kind of like tapped this entrepreneurial side, which I didn't know I would enjoy so much, but I think the ESADE Business School aspect was my favorite part of the master's, learning about, brainstorming business plans and like trying to find innovative ways to solve solutions. That was something I really enjoyed. But then what caused me to jump and do this super risky thing? One, I saw other of my friends doing it and succeeding. So I saw other people that I was with on a day-to-day basis, winning competitions, getting into Techstars, starting a company. And I said, well, if they can do it, I mean, so can I. So that was a big one. And actually, I think like 3 or 4 of my best friends from InnoEnergy, like we all started our companies, which is, I think, a big thing. 2, because we won the prize from InnoEnergy, 10K. I mean, that was our test. That we basically said, with those 10,000, we're gonna be able to live for 10 months. Like, we'll pay for our rent, and that will be our test trial. And if we can get some traction and we can get to the next step, then we get it. And if we don't, we can always go and get a job. Like, we're young and we have the experience, and we can always get another job. Mm-hmm. In fact, after InnoEnergy, I started working at Northvolt, and then I quit when I decided to start my company. But I mean, of course you're afraid, there's always a risk. But the other thing is, in Europe, you have the social safety nets to take those risks, and you're not gonna fall hard, right? Like, if I went back to the US, like I had a medical problem while I was starting out the company, and you have universal healthcare in Europe, and you have public transportation, and you have all these things, so you can afford to take the risk, you can afford to start a company, and if it doesn't work, you just go right back to your career path. But in the end, I think a lot of those factors and the fact that I really wanted to make this company work, and I was really interested, that's what made me jump.
Very good. Thank you so much for your answer. Of course, it's always risky, but also good things happen to people who take some risks. I have another question. Asking about what made you choose this master program over other programs, since of course there's a lot of programs out there. What was your deciding factor? Maybe Alex can answer this question, since you just like recently, I think, graduated. So what made you take that decision and like make you decide on energy?
So I mean, after my bachelor's, my main focus was to get some kind of renowned university. So I was looking first towards America, Great Britain. I was like, damn it, I don't want to pay also 60K per year. That doesn't seem too convenient. But I was checking, my main focus was just to get a high profile university, get a job, and work maybe at Eon at a high position. Then, I mean, I had some entrepreneurial touch points, and accidentally I stumbled over the energy program through a LinkedIn post or something. And when I dig deeper, I realized it has a really entrepreneurial focus, which wasn't given in any of the other programs. So it was like reading, oh, I started business school. Oh, you have another Battle of Green Talent. And I was thinking, because I had underconsciously the ambition to form a startup, I was thinking this might enhance my chances to find the right people, to be in the right environment, to form a startup. And this, I was like, okay, I think I joined a webinar. I was convinced. I did all the applications, got accepted to the random program, and I was like, yeah, let's go for it. So it was more or less a natural path to decide for this program. And I mean, yeah, it seems like for now it has worked out how I hoped it would. So, but you never know. Also, lots of things, other things happen on the journey. But yeah.
Very good. Thank you, Alex. We have another question asking, what was the most valuable skill or mindset you developed during the program that helped you transition from a student to an entrepreneur? Maybe Francisco can answer the question.
The question is about the mindset you developed during the studies.
Yes, that helped you transition from like a student mind to an entrepreneur mind, or maybe you always had that entrepreneur mind, right? But maybe some skills you've gained,
I would say that the most important things is, like back in the days when I was studying engineering at Politecnico di Torino, I was studying it on the books, and it was a really theoretical program. And I think energy taught me to basically apply things, so do things, not really study, but do things. Because for example, each year we were doing some projects with companies. Back in the days, it was called Project of the Year. We apply some innovation specifically to this type of companies, and to do that, you had to not only study how it works, but actually apply it. And I think it really helped me then developing this additional skill set that I applied to my jobs and then to the startup.
See, thank you. We have a student asking about he got the offer to join us with Rene in 2026, and we have some Rene graduates here, and his doubt is that the course, how is it like balancing between technical aspects and business and innovation aspect. I think he's hearing a lot about entrepreneurial and business, but he wants to know how is it also technical. So I don't know who would like to answer this question.
Maybe I can answer.
Yeah,
so
of course.
I graduated, I think, 5 years ago or 4 years ago. Sorry, because I don't remember, but I don't know if that changed. But I remember that regarding different universities, you have to really research and study what are the main points, let's say, of each university. So what are they prioritizing more, and what are also the main professors that you can find there regarding the different parts of the program. Let's say the energy engineering part, or maybe one program or one university is more, let's say, more knowledgeable in wind energy or more in PV. For example, as far as I know, Stockholm is a very good one for PV, also Ecole Polytechnic. So regarding, it depends on your different expertise and the things that you want to learn more about. So I would say that research the different universities and you will find your fit.
Right. Thank you, Daniel. Let me see. Yeah, it's about, we've got a couple of questions about networking. So people say network. How do I network? Maybe Luis or Alex? Alex, I think you were going to answer.
I mean, I can maybe mention some small points. Maybe Luis has something to add. I mean, networking in energy, I think it's basically just saying yes. I mean, what do I mean? There are just so many opportunities around the corner. They invite you to. There is Connect, there is SADA, there are all this competition there. For example, I mean, I joined this Siemens Energy Challenge, where I got an offer from Siemens, which I ultimately declined, but I got lots of contact with the company and the people, which I'm still using today. You get to participate in other programs also, especially as SADA. I mean, you're part of the SADA alumni network right now because you participated as part of this journey. And you get, I think there was this GCQ index where you get this hands-on even courses with your tailored mentor to do how to network and if you want to work upon this. So I mean, it's pretty natural, I think, in energy because they present you with so many opportunities. And if you just say yes, I think it will come, you know. So because it's just such an international, you're traveling every few months somewhere to any event, and it's networking is not a problem there. You will learn it quite fast, I believe.
Yeah. And I will add, when I did the program, it was during COVID. So unfortunately, a lot of our, a lot of the things got canceled. A lot of the travel was, stopped for obvious reasons. And even so, even with everything, even with the world stopped, I mean, you meet so many people. I think what people entering into energy is you get what you want to get out of it. Like if you want to really expand your network, like Alex said, you say yes, you put yourself out there, you are going to meet people. But the other thing is, because it's such an international program, I mean, I have friends from India and Sri Lanka and Indonesia and Portugal and the US and Venezuela. I mean, literally everywhere. And after you graduate, right now as a startup founder, a lot of the people that I met in the program have ended up reaching out to me and saying, hey, I saw your startup. We're hosting this event. Would you like to apply or join? I think it would be a great fit. Or, hey, I see this challenge in this company that I'm working at, and I think your solution would be very valuable. So it just naturally opens a million doors because all the people that you work with or you study with will be in these big companies that are going to be kind of hiring or having these problems that you're solving. So I think that's another aspect of being an entrepreneur from InnoEnergy that opens a lot of doors from the very same people that you study with.
Thank you, Luis. I'm going to take another question. Beside the idea and the money, what else is important for starting a company? And also, what did you learn from failing in the first stages? Maybe Daniel, you can let us know, beside the idea and the money, what is important to create a company?
This is a very good question. Actually, we have done some research about this, looking at why the startups failed. And if I remember well, the first reason would be the fit of the product, so the market fit. So from the idea to getting that idea to reality, that execution is really difficult. And after that, the fitting in the market would be the most difficult part. I would say that it's very important to have a very good team. So the people would be the first one. Also, if you ask a VC or a business angel, they will say that the main reason to invest someone would be that person, someone. So the people and the team and the feature that they want to build. Here it's not only the idea. Everybody has ideas, I think, very good ideas. So if you are with a good team and at the good time, I think that it would be more valuable than the idea. That would be our experience. And of course, we have been building this for 1 year, so we can say already that people would be the most important part here.
Thank you, Daniel. I have a question that I think everybody, would like to know, and is a concern for everybody. How long did it take to start making a livable salary? Which is, of course, everybody is like, concerned about that when they start their own company. How long do you think it would take? Of course, it's different, I guess, to each one, and what kind of resources they have already from before, but maybe you can give them an idea.
Define livable.
You said you were like living with other, yeah.
No, it's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah, but it like makes sense. Like define livable, like how it depends on like your lifestyles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I guess Luis, since you said something, maybe you can tell them like.
Yeah. I mean, part of the reason. So I mean, our company. So everyone has the context. And can everyone hear me? Because
Yes.
You're all a little blurry. Okay.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. So my company operates in the Nordics, so in Sweden, but we're based in Barcelona. And part of that decision was livable. Okay, so obviously the cost of living in Barcelona is significantly less than the cost of living in Stockholm. If you're not making a salary, it's even more important. So that was part of the factor. It's also part of the reason you choose to get funding from an investor. Otherwise, you would just bootstrap forever if that wasn't a concern. For me, I went 1 year without a salary. So just living off of my savings, and the grant from Energy paid for our base rent. Okay, and that was just like, okay, this is paying for our rent, and everything else comes out from our pocket. Then you go in steps, right? So that was it. Then we still didn't have a product. We weren't making any revenue. We weren't even close. So you start going to friends, families, and fools, and you ask for a bit of money. That kept paying for the rent. At some point, we managed to raise 300,000 from angels, and that's when I started paying myself and hiring some other people. But it was minimum wage, so I was paying myself minimum wage for another year in Spain. Before finally raising from VCs, and now I have a decent livable salary. But it took a while, and I think every entrepreneur goes through a different time period. Some people hit the nail on the head, their company's booming, like boom, you're living great from the beginning. Others, it takes a while. It really depends on the complexity of your product, how hot your market is, and how long you can sustain yourself. But for me, it took, let's say, 2 years to start paying myself a decent wage.
Thank you, Luis, and congratulations on this. Okay, one final question for everybody, and maybe you can give like a small brief answer. What is the one thing that you wish you knew before starting your company that would have made it a little bit more easier? So maybe you can start with Francisco.
I will say something that I want to see the face of Daniel, but it's for sure over engineering stuff. So
over engineering
for building it.
Okay. How about you, Daniel?
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same probably. First, sell, and secondly, develop.
Okay. How about Alex?
Talk to your potential customer and user as early as possible.
And use what? Sorry.
End user, a customer user. Talk to them as early as possible.
Okay. And finally, Luis.
Well, I was gonna say the same thing, but well, I wish I knew how hard it was gonna be. So it's a tough journey, and it's always harder, and things always take longer than you think they're gonna take. So that's the other thing. It's a game of resilience.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining today and for all of your insights. I think it was an amazing session, and we got like a super good questions, and I think we've learned a lot from you. And yeah, I think also some people were asking about if they can connect with you. So probably with the same name, they can connect with you through LinkedIn, if that's okay. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, Alberto, also for joining us. And good luck with your career and with everything. And we hope to have you soon in one of our sessions. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Good luck.
you.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Peace.
Bye.